Good morning from the National Weather Service here in Pocatello. This is your Southeast Idaho weather hazard briefing for Saturday, August 13th. We'll have another chance of some showers and thunderstorms throughout the day today, with those shifting further east as a hot and dry air mass is moving into the west, and I'll be breaking that down for you this morning. Key points we're going to focus on today. Monsoon moisture continues to work north. What that means is continued isolated to scattered showers and thunderstorms. We do have a few out there this morning, generally pretty small in nature, but those will increase in coverage, especially as we get towards this afternoon, with scattered strong thunderstorms. With those stronger thunderstorms, could expect some brief moderate to heavy rain, gusty winds in excess of 35 miles an hour, and some small hail. And today will mark the last day of the more widespread coverage. As I'd said, when you got that drier air mass kind of moving in from western Idaho, so that's pushing a lot of that precipitation chances further east. But with plenty of instability out there today, it'll be another day for really active afternoon thunderstorms. Looking at drier weather as we get towards Monday through Wednesday. So on Sunday, it'll just be a slight chance for some storms along our border regions. But as we get towards Monday through Wednesday, consensus is increasing as far as the warm and dry, with storm chances confined further south, east, and north as far as us. Monsoon moisture does return around that Thursday, Friday time frame, so something to look forward to around that time frame, but temperatures will increase in the meanwhile. Quick look at satellite this morning. You can see some isolated showers and thunderstorms kind of working through much of the eastern Idaho, staying fairly isolated in nature, just seeing a few pop off here or there. And with those clearing skies later part of this morning, should have at least helping to increase that instability. So we will have afternoon highs in the 80s to mid 90s again for this afternoon. And with that, we will be seeing those afternoon thunderstorms primarily across eastern Idaho for this afternoon. Weather risk outlook for today. So a minor risk again for some of those stronger thunderstorms that are going to be developing across the Snake Plain, southern and eastern higher elevations. As you get further west out towards the Sawtooth, Wood River area, Magic Valley, looking a little bit less more isolated coverage. So not as much of a concern as you get towards there, but more scattered coverage as you go further east. For Sunday, just an isolated threat along the South Hills, Lost River area up through the Lemhi region. But for the scattered threat, it's going to be mainly confined along the Utah and Wyoming borders for your Sunday. Lightning yesterday, so we observed over 1,000 cloud-to-ground lightning strikes in and around southeast Idaho yesterday. And if you were anywhere in the I-15 corridor this past evening, treated to a wonderful lightning show right around sunset last night. So it was a great show as far as seeing a lot of those, and praying for not as many fire starts out there. But with over 1,000 cloud-to-ground strikes, certainly something to keep in mind as fire crews tend to monitor this type of information for potential new fire starts in the region. Max wind gusts yesterday. So we saw wind gusts in excess of 40 to 50 miles an hour, even one 60-mile-an-hour one out there in Butte County. But outside of that, it looks like wind gusts again today will be generally in that 35 to 45-mile-an-hour range with those thunderstorms, the occasional gust over 50. But everywhere else just yesterday saw wind gusts around 20 to 30 miles an hour. Here's a look at the eastern Idaho rainfall over the past 24 hours. So as you can see, rainfall was driven by those thunderstorms. So you can see narrow funnels of a lot of those very high QPF numbers. So you start to see the red. It's around 2 inches of estimated rainfall according to the radar that we have here. So certainly seeing some of those bullseyes setting up in some of the mountainous regions further east, but across the Snake Plain and some of our population centers stayed fairly dry today. But outside of that, we did see some morning precipitation yesterday, which brought some of these totals up here a little bit higher. But throughout the higher terrain today, even further southwest, still seeing the bulls approaching 4 inches almost. So some of those will suffer for some hail contamination, but outside of that, it was a very wet day across much of eastern Idaho yesterday in the mountains. Watches, warnings, and advisories currently in effect. So you do have a flood watch extending from northern Wyoming, all the way down to southwest California. So certainly something to keep in mind if you're headed out towards that direction. You have a flood watch in effect for that area, as the excessive rainfall is going to be more prevalent in those areas. Severe weather outlook today. So you do have a marginal risk for severe thunderstorms for this afternoon up towards the Montana border. Do have the threat, I would say, as far as continuing just a little bit further south as well along the Montana border. So when you're looking Chalice east through Idaho Falls and through Driggs for this afternoon, we're going to be seeing some scattered, pretty strong afternoon thunderstorms developing for that period. For Sunday, those storm threats do shift further east, increasing in intensity and coverage. And for Monday, should be out of here just on our border regions. Excessive rainfall outlook. So this looks at probability of exceeding our rainfall, so as far as flooding threat over some of our area. So we're looking at, a marginal risk for much of southeast Idaho today, and along the Montana-Wyoming border should have that slight risk, at least 15%. So you can kind of see where those heavier, more training storms are going to be setting up with limited shear in the environment. Storms further west are going to be in a little bit more of a fast-moving environment, but with plenty of instability today. We're looking at very good scattered coverage, especially east of US 93. For Sunday, storms are going to shift further southeast, so looking at that excessive rainfall outlook, just leaving everywhere except Bear Lake, so just holding on to a smidge here in Idaho, and for Monday, that should be out of the region. Timing out the precip today, so starting off this morning with just a few isolated showers and thunderstorms working through. Now will increase in coverage as we get towards noontime. So about 12 to 2 o'clock today, you'll see that towering cumulus, plenty of instability out there, and those thunderstorms will kick off. So we're looking at generation areas up towards the central mountains, south hills, and well east and south of the Snake Plain. And as those storms generate, we are looking at a very strong and favorable environment for this afternoon. So mainly storms are going to be confined, just south and east of Twin Falls, Sun Valley region. But as those storms work through this afternoon, could see that potential along this frontal boundary for some more organization in that line. And what that means is we could have the better threat for some gusty wind potential associated with that line. So Pocatello, Idaho Falls, Rexburg, all the way up through the I-15 corridor, looking like a pretty stormy afternoon. Something certainly to keep in mind if you have some outdoor plans. As we get towards the later part of today, farther southeast, so down towards Montpelier, Bear Lake area, looks to get, well into the evening hours for some very heavy rain and scattered thunderstorm coverage. As we get towards later tonight, right around midnight, we're looking at those storms depart further east into Wyoming, with dry conditions resuming for your Sunday morning. Weekend high temperatures. So taking a look at Saturday here on the left, we got temperatures again in the mid-80s to mid-90s, and staying fairly similar for tomorrow as well, mid-80s to mid-90s. High temperatures for your Monday. Sound like a broken record, but we will see temperatures again, mid-90s to mid-90s. So as far as, 81 up in Island Park, 93 down in Shoshone, and 90 degrees up in Chalice. For Tuesday, much of the same. Starting to have that very dry air mass settling in, so what that means is plenty of sunshine and increasing temperatures. So for Tuesday afternoon, we will be in the mid-80s to approaching 100 degrees as you get further west in the Magic Valley. So we will be having those warming temperatures, especially Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, before some potential monsoon moisture arrives around that Thursday, Friday time frame. And again on Wednesday, temperatures are going to be in the afternoon highs in the mid-80s to mid-90s, so we're about 80s and 90s for much of the lower elevations, still holding on to some 60s and 70s as you get in the higher terrain. And in conclusion, this morning, due to that monsoon moisture that's going to be continuing to work north, isolated to scattered showers and thunderstorms will be shifting further east today. So we're seeing storms pretty much going to stay east of Twin Falls, US 93 corridor. Should see some of those, storms developing along the higher elevations further west of there. But as far as lower elevation impacts, looks like that's going to be east of Twin Falls today. That isolated to scattered thunderstorms could produce brief, moderate to heavy rain, gusty winds in excess of 35 miles an hour, and small hail. And with that potential, we do have a very unstable atmosphere today. So what that means is thunderstorms are going to have no problem generating and sustaining themselves to become, potentially severe thunderstorms as we get towards later this afternoon and evening. Today will mark the last day of more widespread coverage, with a dry Monday through Wednesday in place as storms shift further south and east into our bordering states, with monsoon moisture expected to arrive around that Thursday, Friday timeframe of next week. But there is your weather briefing for today, Saturday, August 13th. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please feel free to send us an email, give us a call, or check out some information on our website. Have an awesome weekend.